right. I'm going to make a video about the roles of men versus women because a lot of us are super confused, with women's rights and women earning money and women working. I think a lot of us are really confused about the role of men versus women in relationship. And also, can a man really provide? So that I really want to talk about men's ability to provide because I think that, in my opinion, and I'm open to suggestions, you guys, because I'm trying to figure out this new revolution thing myself. If a man is working and providing because he's got the Y chromosome and more physical strength and testosterone, and he generally loves that challenge, and a woman generally likes to be more around friends and children and nurturing and making a home, and that creates some sexual polarity and different roles, and it creates a kind of like I need you thing. You have your job, I have my job, we're different, we still like to come together. To me, that's how I like a relationship. But it only works if the man likes to provide. And some men don't like to provide, either because they hate their jobs or they don't make good money. But the men I've met, and I work with men, the men who love their work and who are successful and make good money, they thrive on providing. They're generous and they love to provide. But a lot of men don't want to provide because they are financially not able to. And maybe they don't feel like they can trust women or whatever. They don't like their work. They don't feel like they don't have a generous heart. I don't really know, but let's just talk about incomes here for a second. So I was looking up how many people make over $100,000 a year because someone left in the comments that $100,000 a year is a lot. It is not if you're living in a big city. If you're living in a small town in West Virginia where a house is $100,000, where you can buy a house for $100,000, you could probably live very well on $50,000 a year with a family. Okay, but if you're living in any of the major cities where a house is $800,000 and a two-bedroom apartment is $2,500, you need at least $100,000 to pay for rent, health insurance, your college debt if you have some, a car payment, car repairs, childcare, food, clothing, things that come up, Christmas gifts, all these kinds of things. And a lot of people that make $100,000 a year are still living paycheck to paycheck. So it really depends on the city that you're in, because I know that I was looking at buying like an investment property in a small town in West Virginia, and these houses are going between $50,000 to $100,000, bringing in like $700-800 a month rent. So it's a good cash flow situation, but I was surprised how cheap it is. There are homes in the Midwest, single family homes with backyards in the 200s, but here in San Diego, a townhouse, a 4-bedroom townhouse is easily in the 800s. And it's not even, it's got a tiny little yard. And I know San Diego is not the only expensive city. There are dozens of cities that are even more expensive than San Diego. So where you live makes a huge difference. But here are some things about income. Now, college-educated women are actually out-earning college-educated men. The number of people making over $100,000 a year, I think it's 12% of women and 24% of men. And here that there are 10 U.S. cities where women are the most likely to earn over $100,000. But these are all expensive cities. Like in San Jose, California, 34% of women earn 6 figures. In San Francisco, 31%. Washington, D.C., 27%. Stamford, Connecticut, and Boston and New York City, Seattle, all in the 20 percentile, 20%. Baltimore, 17%. Thousand Oaks, Hartford, Connecticut, 16%. So there are women earning over $100,000 a year, but these cities have very expensive housing prices. San Jose, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., Stamford, Connecticut, Boston, New York City, Seattle. I mean, they have high housing prices, and I don't know how far the income goes. The women's median annual income in those cities is between 55 to $70,000. Now, these women are probably going to look for someone who is also successful, and there will be men in those cities also making that much. So that's one thing I wanted to point out to you guys. The other thing is that there are men who can make more money. Here's the other thing that happens with men. When I talk to business owners, I often hear that, yes, I was talking to someone recently, and he told me that at his company, you know, there are guys making just the minimum, like in the $20 per hour range, $25 per hour range. But the men that really are good producers make over $100,000 a year. And when I talked to him about, well, the wage, because here's the thing, wages for people have really been flat since the 70s, while the cost of housing, college, and healthcare has tripled or quadrupled. So there are fewer people that can buy a house now, okay? But there are some people who can, and the difference is it's just become a lot more competitive, you guys. It's become more competitive, and there are people who can make $100,000 a year even without a college degree, but these are men who hustle. They're good at sales, they're good with people, and they hustle. Also, men in certain trades. There is a huge shortage. I think is it Mike Rowe, the guy who did the Dirty Jobs show? He talks all the time about how we have a shortage in this country of men willing to be plumbers, electricians, contractors, roofers. That he says, if you ever see like a plumbing truck, it always has a help wanted sign on the back. That a lot of men have become so entitled and so lazy, they don't want to do those jobs. I was talking to the gentleman who had to go into my attic to do some air conditioning work. And he said it's really hard to find young men who want to do air conditioning work because no one wants to crawl in an attic anymore. They all want these easy desk jobs where they make $100,000 a year working on their computer. Like, men are not as willing to hustle physically and in sales and relationally and socially as they were once used to. Like, we've become complacent and lazy. And I'm going to point out one thing is that in Europe, there are a lot of protests always going on around, right now, around the energy crisis or around wars or around their rights. And we Americans hardly ever protest or march anymore. Like, we've become very complacent, like we want it so easy. And right now I'm reading a book about the Dust Bowl. This book, there's the book cover. And I started watching Ken Burns' PBS show on the Dust Bowl. I watched the whole first episode. I'm going to watch the second one. And life was freaking hard for those people. Okay, life was really freaking hard. And I see how hard they worked and how hard they struggled in spite of all the dust and all the years that they had no food and they were starving. And we are living in the most rich time of all, where the majority of Americans have enough to eat, we have shelter, and we're just like getting lazy and entitled. And I'm going to include myself in that because I've never experienced real hardship like the pioneers or people in war or people in famine. And that's why a lot of these guys are broke. They're not willing to hustle. You need your education, or you need sales skills, or you need to be willing to do physical work in order to make enough money, and then you can definitely feel good about yourself and set yourself apart from the rest of the people who are going to struggle. And there will always be some people who fall under the cracks. Like I read somewhere that 40 or 50% of men in historic times never fathered any children. Okay, so there will always be a percentage of people who don't make the cut to procreate. Okay, they're just not going to make the cut. That's called survival of the fittest. And those of us who want to survive, we have to be creative, we have to hustle, we have to work, but I'm honest work from the heart. Okay, again, get a college education and something that actually helps you make money, like being a doctor, being a lawyer, being an engineer. Um, go to trade school, learn to be a plumber, an electrician, a carpenter. Um, a gentleman named Teller left a comment on one of my videos saying that he knows someone who's a cement contractor making $300,000 a year. I think, I don't know what he said the other jobs were, but they're guys that are like union electricians. They make good money too. But a lot of guys don't want to do those jobs. So if you are a man looking for a career, or you haven't found the love of thing that you want to do, you might want to check out Mike Rowe and some of the careers he recommends, like plumber, electrician, carpenter, even firefighter, paramedic. Like a paramedic in San Diego can make $100,000 a year. You don't have to go to college, but you have to have some kind of a skill that people want to pay for. And I'm just really shocked at how much these physical jobs pay. And that's very hot for men to be handymen and plumbers and electricians, and they make good money. So it is possible for a man to provide, and I think that when men provide, they feel really good about themselves, they're more attractive to women, and then they're more able to have a woman who takes care of the house and the children. I just think that when we talk about, relationships, for those of you who are younger, we also have to think about the children. Who's going to take care of the children? And I really like the model of, a woman working part-time and the man working full-time out of the house. I just think it creates a way that we actually need each other. We have to need each other. If we're just friends doing the same thing, where's the attraction? Where's the need? And I think needing each other is a good thing. It keeps us respecting each other, appreciating each other, and wanting to stay together. Else, what do we have? Friendship, and where's the sexual polarity? Okay, so let's see. I took some screenshots here of some things I wanted to read about. And there's a separate video I'm going to make on that. So that was about the incomes. But again, if a woman is working, of course she's going to want to sometimes pay for the man too. But I just think that I myself don't want to be financially dependent on a man ever again, because I feel like for me that didn't work out well for me personally, because well, I guess what it is, if there's a man who actually loves to provide because he loves his job and he's generous and that's just how he is, I would totally trust that. But then again, we always have to think about what happens if we get divorced. What happens if he dies? Is there like a life insurance? Do I have like a part-time job I can rely on? What if he's disabled? Can the woman pick up the slack and work until he can work again? Something like that. I think as to me, I probably will never get in another relationship again. I have not. People ask me about relationships. Today one of my Just for Fans subscribers asked me, because I had some kind of photos of myself at the gym and I was looking really good in the shots I took. And it's like, have you ever fucked anyone at your gym? Like, no, I haven't hooked up with anyone in years. I have never fucked a guy at the gym. I haven't been on a date in years, and I don't know. You younger people have a chance, because there's so many younger people who are single. So I'm talking to you guys because I'm trying to help you get something that I don't have. You know, at my age, where are, you know, single, successful, attractive men who are interested in dating me? Like, I don't see that. You know, relational men who are successful and who are interesting and somewhat attractive, at least a 7 out of 10. I don't, I don't see that. Maybe because I live in the suburbs, I don't really know. But at my age, most people are already, you know, in a relationship. So I don't hold out any hope for myself in that regard. But those of you who are younger, you guys totally can get a relationship. And but I'm also very interested in these social trends. I just find them very interesting. And as a woman, I'm very interested in relationships, friends, children, relationships, and even, you know, I don't have one. I wouldn't even know how to get one. I know my kids would really like me to have one, but I'm like, kids, where am I supposed to meet someone to date? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, there are guys at my gym, but they're younger, or the older guys, they look like very, not very appealing to me, you know. So, you know, I got nothing going on, and I'm okay with that. Because, like I said, I work with men, so I get to be around men and talk to men, and that fills my need for male companionship enough that I don't get lonely for male affection or attention, and I get very positive male interactions through my work with men. And so I don't have that. If it wasn't for that work, I would definitely feel it a lot more, because I'm a very physically affectionate person and I really like men. And that would be hard for me if I didn't have my bookkeeping job. It would be very hard, and I wouldn't even know what to do about it, because I would feel that need and that longing for male companionship very strongly, and I don't know how to meet that at all. Maybe I would just go out more to different events, but I've tried that, and it hasn't ever resulted in anything. So I'm almost 10 years single, you guys, and maybe single for the rest of my life. I had like a Jyotish chart done years ago, and it showed in my chart that I would only ever have one relationship, which was my marriage, that there are no other relationships in my future. That's what it actually showed. And if that's true, then that is the answer right there. But anyway, that's all I have on this video, and thank you for watching.